going back to the foundations of relationships, of marriages, or whatever, right? Let's say that you're looking to start an investment in something. For lack of a better example, let's use stocks. I don't do stocks. I don't know anything about it. So now it might be that your spouse wouldn't be the right person to even speak to about it, because your spouse might not have the technical way without good or not. It doesn't also give you the leeway to say, okay, you're not you're not informing your spouse about it. So yes, you might seek technical expertise, technical advice from outside, but at least let your spouse know that this is what you want to do. Except in situations where it doesn't mean jack to your spouse. I mean, say your spouse doesn't even know what stocks are, and he will say there is a good opportunity, and your spouse will go like, hey, what's that? Blah, 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 and you think it will frustrate you. But I think, you still need to just inform your spouse to save you from trouble later in life, because you can really have trouble. What do you think? Yeah, might be good to. So about the spouse going to hear about it later on elsewhere, it's not right. I mean, it's just not right. But whatever be the case.
There's another point direction to that.
Yeah.
You know that there are some people who have spouses that they do that can't talk.
Right, yeah.
We discuss
you're like you married a parrot, and, so yeah.
We discuss something in the room, and the whole world knows about it.
Yeah.
Is it also right to hide certain investments you want to do from such a person?
You see, so my grandfather used to have a saying, I mean, when he was alive, that when you catch a bird, you don't defeather the bird before you come home and ask your father, what bird is this? So this is something we would have to live with all our lives. If you get married to someone, okay, you get to know the person. If you actually agree to go ahead with the relationship, with marriage and everything, you see, when the issues are coming, you learn to find ways to go about it. You get what I mean? So if you married a parrot and you think that the parrot will go broadcast whatever, and it might even get to your competitors before you even execute it, then just give the parrot just the headline. Hey, my wife or my husband, I think we're going to look at this pretty soon. Then that's all. If you give details and you go against
it might even be worse.
Now, okay, so firstly, if you have to give ladies out there listening to you one key advice, what would that be?
Well, I would tell the ladies out there that, you see, I have I'll use like those who are very close to me as example. You see, sometimes we tend to look too far. Okay, we tend to look too far, and we tend to expect too much in the people that may be our potential spouses. Right. So I think that sometimes, in as much as we expect a whole lot, or yes, we have this dream guy, there may be certain people very close to us that like we may like. Yeah. So I think that we shouldn't look too far. Okay. 2, we shouldn't expect too much. Okay. And then 3, whenever we think we like a guy, I know most ladies would say, why would you even go for it to tell a guy that you like him? But for me, I never really felt that, I have to be diplomatic about somebody that I like. I liked him, and I made an attempt to let him know that, look, I like you, and here we are. Wow. So if you like someone, I think that you can find ways and means, not make it so obvious, but you can find intelligent ways and means to let the person know that, look, I care about you. That is when you are certain, or you've seen certain qualities about the person that you think that you can build a life with him, not just anyone, but of course, you have to be reasonable and knowledgeable
Yeah.
and wise about it.
Right.
So I think that if you like someone, let the person know, do it in a diplomatic way. Be a bit persistent about it. That is when you know that this person is good and I can build a life with a person.
Wow.
And then look around your friends. Don't expect too much. He's not perfect. I wouldn't say he's perfect. He has, but of course, when we're dating, there were certain things that I realized about him. But of course, I looked at the positive aspects of him that I felt would help me. And I still went ahead to, to move on in life with him. I can say to the glory of God that I've not regretted
Awesome.
doing that. And I can always look back and say that I know that I have gained something. It wasn't just the degree. Even if I had gotten third class with him, I would.
Awesome.
So I think, basically that is what I would say. They should just move if they find someone that they like.
Wow.
Yeah.
Prissy, are you hearing that? Wherever you are, Prissy, you should have approached me to tell me you like me. I mean, you were just not bold enough. Okay, now coming back to Michael, if you have to give guys out there, the up and coming generation, an advice, what would that be?
Okay. The advice that I would give to young guys coming up is that they shouldn't be scared about marriage.
Okay.
It's an extension of your life. It's just that you are going to share that life with another person.
Wow.
And I think if you're a Christian, you should be guided by the principles.
Right.
Because, yes, we have the fruit of the Spirit. Yes, and then we have that of the flesh. But as a Christian, if you see the fruit of the Spirit, I think that's what has been guiding us in our marriage. That's joy, love,
joy, peace, patience, kindness,
goodness,
Baba,
patience.
you've chewed like that.
And yes,
and
then self-control. You understand? So my message to them is that, because if you love somebody, if you say you love somebody, it's an action word.
Right.
You need to show it. You need to put the person in front. You need to be patient.
Wow.
You understand? Because you can't always have your way. You understand? There are certain things that you need to be able to be mindful of.
Wow.
And then you have to also have self-control. Because the fact that you are married doesn't make your feelings go away for other people. No, you see pretty ladies always. But then if you are guided by your Christian principles, you know that you need to have that self-control. And I think if you should be able to make a conscious effort, if you get married, I'm telling you, the fruits of the Spirit, there are 9 of them. If you are guided by it, you have a nice and a healthy relationship.
Wow.
And a
wow.
happy home. Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of DFN. So in the previous episode we discussed pressures in relationships, and as promised, today we're going to discuss pressures in marriages. And so let's do this. Now, so you got married, and there is this first pressure of having to impress everyone apart from the partners in the marriage. And so you try to impress your friends, your family, I mean, people who don't even matter. I mean, trying to make them feel like, oh, things are good. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so when you marry, initially people would want to see, hey, how are these people doing? Sometimes, especially when you have a big wedding. So people also tend to want to impress others by sewing, dressing up, renting big apartments, buying expensive cars. Meanwhile, you'll be suffering inside. Your finances cannot hold, and that is what people go through a lot here. So they try to impress everyone outside the marriage except the two of them.
Yeah, right. So people who don't matter anyway.
Yeah.
So you know the goal is not to appear happy, or the goal is not to appear as if everything is working. The goal is to make things work, and the goal is to be happy. And so the primary focus should be what makes you two happy,
Yeah.
and not allow the pressure of having to impress everyone have a toll on your marriage. For example, if what you can afford is a single room somewhere, what matters is that you are happy.
Yeah.
Basically, and not what will my friends say, what will my family say, what would everyone say, apart from what would my spouse say, or what do we think about it. Then secondly, there is also this pressure from in-laws.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's even not deliberate. I mean, so you've stayed with them for 20 something years, and all of a sudden you are now Mr. or Mrs. X, and there is this pressure that comes with your in-laws trying to make you a version 2.0 of their marriage, and so
but sometimes they want you to improve on their marriage.
exactly whatever they couldn't achieve in their marriage, they try to push you to achieve it, which is not wrong in a way, but the goal is that you should be able to live out your marriage as well. I mean, without being pressured to go a certain way. Your for example, your in-laws went. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so many a times our parents cannot come to terms that we are adults now.
Yeah.
They know us as their children.
Right.
And it is our duty to let them know that we are capable of taking care of our marriages.
Right.
So we don't run to them whenever there's a problem. We don't run to them first thing for advice.
Yeah.
We try to sort things out with our partners
Exactly.
and then find a way out. But then if you continually go there, ma'am, this and this, what should I do? Yeah, they are also happy. Yeah, they are happy to help,
Yeah.
not in a bad sense. But it's sometimes could bring problems in the marriages, because the sort of advice you might give you might not be the best, or it wouldn't work in your marriage.
In
That's
your
what
situation,
worked
yeah.
in his, but
Yeah.
might not work with yours. So try and sort things out with your spouses rather than running to your parents. And then there are some people too who want to start businesses, and the first person they go to is their parents. Meanwhile, you have a spouse there you can discuss that with. Yeah, so
Yeah, right. So the goal here is to be close, make things work. I mean, between you, and not allow the pressures, that the external pressures that come from, I mean, wherever, have an impact on your marriage, because that could put a lot of pressure on your marriage. For example, those pressures could force you to do things you would otherwise not do because you don't have the means, for example. I mean, so these are very important things we need to, I mean, take note of. So on today's episode, we continue discussing the pressures in marriage, and today we want to talk about children, and it's double-edged. So you can have a situation where a couple is married and everyone is like, when are you having children? It's a very unfortunate situation because yeah, obviously one of the reasons people marry is to procreate, but to constantly be on people and be asking, when are you giving birth, sounds quite rude. Exactly, because they have their plans, and it might also be that they are trying to have kids and it's not really happening, and so when it happens like that, it poses so much stress on them, and so that is one side. Why do you think people go about asking? I mean, when people are giving birth and all, it sounds very rude.
Yeah, it's like in like our certain
society. Yeah,
in our certain, we haven't learned to mind our business. It's
right.
not like the kids coming into that marriage will be taken care of by the people asking,
exactly,
when are you going to have the kids? And mind you, marriage with and without children is still marriage.
Exactly.
So you shouldn't feel pressured to have kids because your colleagues are married and they are having kids.
Yeah.
They are gifts from God. So at the right time, God will give it to you. It shouldn't be that this person has 3, married last year has 3. No, everybody in the appointed time when you take your kids. So.
And with you talking about they are gifts from God, I want to stress on that because we know signs and we know you have to know when you meet with your spouse to have children and all, but there are cases where it's been tried, it doesn't work, and so it's by no fault of the people that they are not bringing forth children, and so that's quite rude, like you mentioned. Then the other way this pressure comes in is when you say in a marriage and you have the kids, but the kids also stress the marriage.
Yeah.
So that also serves as another sort of pressure because then when they come in, their expenses, how to manage them, making you lose your temper here
you have
and there.
to take care of a new life in addition to yours as well, manage them.
Yeah.
And having kids is like having little bosses at home. They control what you do.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to control kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not easy to handle them.
Yeah.
It brings a lot of pressure, especially if you are not that used to taking care of
other
children,
people. Because then if you have to go to work, your spouse has to go to work, now you have to find a way to sort them out before you can go ahead. I mean, it's a whole lot of stress as well. Today we want to look at financial pressures. So we want to look at the sources of financial pressures. Now, we've identified 2 main sources of financial pressure. So the first one being internal, that is internally generated in the marriage, and the one that is without, the externally generated ones. We'll look at that in the next episode. First of all, sometimes we go into marriage all happy and all jolly, but we are hit with circumstances that throw us off board. And sometimes it's because we just did not plan for them. And those things bring about a lot of financial pressures. So for example, there are things that could be planned, like where you want your children to go to school, for example, but sometimes they also end up generating pressures. Why?
Yeah, so sometimes you want to take your kids to a high-end school,
right?
And maybe the fees you are paying is even more than your monthly salary or together.
Yeah.
But still, you want to send your kids because you probably have a friend who has kids going there.
Right.
They've recommended that school to you.
Yeah.
But then most of the times it should rather be based on what you have. If you can afford it, it shouldn't be forced.
Yeah.
Because there are equally good schools that may not be that expensive.
Exactly.
But then they bring out the best in your kids. So I think you should just plan ahead, like go around, look out for schools, ask people, like ask around, know which schools are moderate, and then you can just try them.
I think there was one thing you mentioned in some time past, that one key reason for these pressures is the lack of openness when it comes to finances. So, for example, one spouse or one party may be calling for the children to be sent to a particular school because he or she might think that, okay, my spouse is earning this much, exactly, and it might not be the case. So sometimes we bring unnecessary pressures on ourselves because we don't have that level of openness. I mean, and so you can't really plan.
People live with spouses that they don't know how much they earn each
right,
year.
right,
and there's another way of thinking. I don't know where it came from, but there are some men who think that it's the duty of the man to bear all the expenses of the family.
Right.
So even when the wife is earning even more than that man, they will still want to do everything. And then there are also women who feel that my money is for myself and my family.
Exactly.
But not to take care of the family as in my external family, but not to take care of the family. And it's the role or the duty of my spouse to take care of us. And that also puts pressure on the man. So
yeah. And that brings to mind, there is this backward way of thinking. I mean, I've heard in several situations where people tell their girls who go into marriage or their ladies who go into marriage that if you go and things are okay, bring it to the family, as in the extended family. But if you go and things are not okay, then stay in your marriage with it, which I think is a very backward way of thinking. And when we go into marriage with such mindset, what happens is that then the two parties cannot plan for the marriage. They cannot look out for the good of the marriage, because one party is looking out to send the goodies back home, as it were. Have you heard of such things?
Yes.
Yeah.
I also know of another reason for that pressure. There are also men who are so domineering.
Right.
They feel that if I let my spouse work and is earning a lot or more than me, not even more, but if my spouse works, especially in the case of women, you will not be submissive at home. Right. So they would rather their spouse stay at home
and become a housewife.
All their skills, not learn anything, so that they can trample on them. And that way
you put pressure on the marriage.
On the marriage, you know you can't take care of the family with just what you are earning. But
exactly.
Because of pride, you want your spouse,
pride,
the spouse to remain at home, and that also brings on some sort of pressure.
Extra pressure.
Finances, yes.
Right. So yeah, it seems most of the self-inflicted pressures are things that we could actually review and do away with. I mean, then there is this pressure also that comes from comparing yourselves to other people, like scripture says, and they comparing themselves to themselves are not wise. I mean, in other words, they are fools.
Yeah.
So have you encountered some of those?
I know of some. I'm not saying that having a marriage, like a group, a support system for marriage, I'm not saying it's bad, but then sometimes the negatives of it is that some people go comparing their finances, like they take notes.
Oh, you mean when people join like marriage groups, societies, marriage?
So that they can encourage each other. Sometimes it's the downside of it is that they go comparing notes on how much chop money my spouse gives.
Right.
And this person goes back home and it's like, so and so gives the wife this amount and you are stingy.
Yeah, you are not man enough.
You don't do that for me.
Right.
It also brings about problems in the marriage. Yeah. So I think that we can pick all the good sides of those how do we call those groups?
Fellowships or associations and all.
But then we should be very mindful of some of the negatives.
The excesses it comes with. Yeah, right. Do you think there are things that people can experience that no one could ever have planned for? So yes, you have things that usually you would want to look out for and plan for, but do you think that there are things in marriage that there is no way you could have anticipated them, and so there is no way on earth you would have planned for them?
Well, I mean, I was going to say, like, examples. Is it like what kind of things? Is it on the attitude level? Is it finance?
I think it's all of them.
So all that could be part. So you get so surprised when they happen, and it wasn't something you ever thought about.
I personally, I think and I believe we are on a believers platform here, and so I'm going back to the foundation, the basics, and having a relationship with God, and the ability that God has to reveal things to you. And again, this comes into planning and preparation, because when you're planning and preparing, part of it is prayerfully planning and preparing and really praying about the person you are going to marry and really asking God if they are the one. Like I can tell you, before I said yes to Kweku, it took like over a year. And every time I would say I am praying.
Okay.
I'm telling you, there's stretch me, Charlie.
Yeah. It took over a year because I come from a family where I did not see godly marriage. And so it put some fear in me about marriage. I thought everybody's marriage is the same. Yeah. And I thought, this demonic thinking that you see all over social media that all men are the same. It is a lie from the pit of hell. And I want to emphasize this, that it is a lie from the pit of hell. All men are not the same. And all marriages are not the same. And you see, if you really wait on God, I don't think you get into a marriage and you'll be so surprised because of something that has come up that never crossed your mind. Me, I really believe in God, and I think God reveals. And I know that people even see red flags. They just, they are not sensitive to the Holy Spirit enough. And so they don't see it, or they are sensitive, but they've refused. Like the Bible says, it's like they've hardened their heart because of what? I must marry. So it's like I must marry. So the marriage has become, and I'm not saying it's not an achievement, but I don't support that school of thought that emphasize strongly some achievements. Like if you don't get it, then it's like you are better than somebody who doesn't have it. Right. Well, it's a form of achievement. That's why we say congratulations. We only say congratulations if you achieved something, right? Something good. But it's not something that you say it makes you better off than somebody who is not married, especially if you are not, you're talking to singles and it's like a do or die. They must marry or they must not marry. So honestly, my experience, I really prayed. And one of the things God even showed me before Kweku, I started even engaging with him as a friend. And that's even one thing. You have to pray. When people come into your lives, even as a friend, you have to go and ask God, like, what are they in my life for? Like, what is the purpose of this person in my life? People don't ask these questions. And then, like, there's this story in the Bible. Somebody came to visit somebody, immediately took them to the bedroom to see everything they had. And then they went to form an attack on the person. So you don't just see someone and then, without asking God, who is this person? What are they in my life for? You bring them to your home and you are showing them your bedroom, your kitchen, so you need to ask God. So I think if you really ask God and you are in sync with God, the Holy Spirit will let you know. Of course, Kweku is not 100%. I'm not 100%, but the Holy Spirit will let you know things that especially, some things are everybody and what they. There's this phrase they use. It's like I can't remember, but if it's that important to you, like somebody can say me, I don't want to marry a guy who ABC.
Oh, deal breaker.
It's like a deal breaker. Good, thank you very much. Deal breaker. God will show you, because I believe that a marriage is an institution that God created. And so it is a good institution. And the intention of God is not for us to go in and see huge surprises that will give you heart attack. I don't believe in that school of thought. So that's what I want to say. Me personally, I don't think it's something, maybe like in this marriage, many things that you can ignore. Maybe those are some of the things you may see, or because you've not lived the same.
The toothpaste from the bottom instead of the top.
Things like that. Things that doesn't break hearts. Things that does not cause you to be depressed. Those things that you can just. But to me, I don't think if you are really in sync with God, you go and see big surprises. I don't know what.
I think the big surprises come when, as again, you have not laid a good foundation and you haven't, interrogated the issues that need to be interrogated adequately before you get in. That one, there will be many surprises, many things that you see that you'll be like, wow, I never experienced it, right?